Qadianis definitely are not Muslims. Let's find out, why aren't they Muslims?
So people have asked, what is this Qadiani thing? What is the backdrop? Let's explain about Mirza Ghulam Ahmed Qadiani Sahib. Was Mirza Ghulam Qadiani an inbred? Sorry people, but but that's what you're going to get if you provoke people like me. Hari Ram Qadiani Sahib actually claimed to be an incarnation of Krishna ji later on. Krishna, I'm not making I'm going to quote the sources, yaar. I'm not making this stuff. Okay, by the way, in his lifetime, he had an addiction to certain drugs, right? So what did he say though? What were the claims? He said an angel comes to him, right? The angel, he said Jibrail has been renamed as Ail. Ail, not Jibrail, Ail. Said his new name was Ail. And he said, Ail comes to me again and again. This was in his book called Haqiqatul Wahi on page 103. 103, huh? He said, I swear by Allah, saying that these are the words of Allah which were revealed to me. This is in his book Haqiqatul Wahi. But I thought I'd introduce you to our guest today, Ghulam Hariram, smart Hariram, serial kisser.
The left hand side you can see Qadian. It's a bit zoomed out on the right hand side. It falls on modern day India side. It's in Amritsar, close to Amritsar, and as you can see, I don't mean to bring up the toilet here. You naughty, you teasing me, right? So I'm meant to be bringing up our कातिलाना नजर यार उफ 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 इतना सुंदर चेहरा हाय 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 नजरें हाय 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 थू 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 नजरे बद्दूर. So this one is our when you look at Qadiani Sahib and you think to yourself that wow, what a prophet that God chose. I honestly want to ask, right, that is this seriously, why are his eyes like that? Ye khuliye ke band hain yaar. Is his eyes closed or are they open? Honestly, yaar, I'm really bothered about this is a serious question, right? You guys, you see, the other thing is you guys ain't taking me seriously, but just look at those eyes. Are they closed? Are they open?
छब्बीस मई 1908 को लाहौर में मौसूफ का शिद्दत के साथ यह हिस्सा सही मर गया। बाद वफात उसके मुंह से
उनका होता है
जो हाज़रीन के व्रत का बायस हुआ।
ये हो क्या रहा है यार? What the hell is that? On the toilet? Oh, this is all not nice, yeah.
Those of you wondering who he is, I printed off of Islam, but you might want to see his picture closer still. So, the bloody good-looking fella, honestly. God damn, honestly, wow, kya, this is bloody good looking guy, mashallah. Oof, what? Right, so this is him. Now, born in 1839 in Punjab, in Qadian, Mirza Ghulam Ahmed Qadiani. Now, I wasn't taking the mick out of, but he does, that is him. I'm not, yeah, honestly, I'm not, this, I had some people say to me, I had this one lady, this one girl messaging me, telling me how she's a convert to Qadianism. And she said, I used to be a Sunni Muslim, but I left and I became a Qadiani. So I just said, okay, good for you. And she was like, you watch what Allah is going to do to you, this. So I said to her, look, listen, okay, out of curiosity then, chalo, I'll engage you. I said, I just want to know, do you seriously, like, I want to really know, do you really believe it? Do you really believe in it? Do you really believe in him? Really? And she said, yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, alhamdulillah. Gotta play the both roles in it. Let me, I don't know whether she added the patta, but let's, yeah, alhamdulillah, dude. So anyway, I said, so okay, so do you believe that God spoke to our, and she said, yeah, I believe God spoke to him. I said, in Punjabi. I said, do you really believe that God spoke to Ghulam Qadiani, to Mirza Qadiani in Punjabi? Do you believe that? So she said, well, what's wrong? Why? What's the problem with that? So I said, look, let me get this right, people. In an age of tyranny and vicious evil that has encapsulated the globe and manifested it as colonialism, with mass genocide taking place, the butchering and robbing of resources, and humanity has plunged into a time of suffering, God decides to break his laws of nature and intervene in free will. I mean, one is the belief that, okay, God doesn't intervene then, he lets humans be responsible, but God decides to break those laws and intervene. Again, he's going to intervene, people. And he intervenes by having a chat with some guy in Punjabi. That's the plan. Are you for real? That is the divine plan. That God's just going to have a chat with some guy in Punjabi. And that's it. Like, there's no change. Wasn't there supposed to be some change here? This is like the darkest times that humanity are going through, of suffering. And, since you're going to intervene anyway, but rather than just having a chat in Punjabi, God says, okay, da. Oh, balle. Right, so the thing is, anyway, but then, God chooses, obviously, the most handsome of Punjab. Oh, Sada Punjab. So God chooses, obviously, Ghulam Hariram Qadiani. And the reason why, Hariram is not an insult, because later on you're going to learn in a moment, Hariram Qadiani Sahab actually claimed to be an incarnation of Krishna ji later on. Krishna, I'm not making I'm going to quote the sources, yaar. I'm not making this stuff. You guys don't believe me. This is the problem, You naughty. So, let's get on to a bit of facts about who was Ghulam Qadiani Sahib, aka Hariram. Right, so he's born in 1839 in Punjab. Now, I want to mention something. A lot of Qadianis will say that, he did not claim to be a prophet. Some people will say this to you. And they will quote you his books. Right, now, the interesting thing is, that's partially true. That's a half-truth. Half-truth, this one, half-truth. The reason being is because Qadiani went on a developmental journey. Right, And there was, so initially, if you see in 1884, he claimed an open proclamation to be a revivalist and a reformer. So it is true, in his early years, he did not claim any kind of messianic mission or prophethood. So they will show you these books. Okay, so they will say that, look, in these books, he doesn't say that, and that is true. However, 7 years later, he made an announcement stating that he was the promised Messiah. And in 1901, he claimed to be a prophet. He claimed prophethood. And in 1904, he claimed to be Krishna. Krishna, Hari Ram, Hari Krishna, you know, that Krishna. This is nothing to do with Sikhs, by the way. Sikhs, somebody saying something about Sikhs. He's nothing to do with Sikhs. Punjab is a huge region. In fact, a greater part of Punjab is actually in modern day Pakistan. So there's more of Punjab in Pakistan than there is in India today. So Punjab is actually nothing to do with, I mean, obviously there's Sikhs in Punjab, but there's Muslims in Punjab as well. And historically there was our good-looking guest in Punjab as well. So there are, and I accept, look, there may be some Qadianis that haven't accepted Mirza Sahib to be a prophet. There may be some, but the majority of them do. Okay. Now, some claims made by Mirza Ghulam, aka serial killer. Okay, by the way, in his lifetime, he had an addiction to certain drugs. But, hey, I'm not one to judge. Hum judge nahi karte. No, don't judge people. Don't. Are you judging? Don't judge. We're not judging about the addiction to. He did have some addictions to certain drugs, but no judging. Right. So what did he say though? What were the claims? He said, an angel comes to him. Right. The angel. He said Jibrail has been renamed as Ail. Ail, not Jibrail. Ail. Said his new name was Ail. And he said, Ail comes to me again and again. This was in his book called Haqiqatul Wahi on page 103. 103, huh? He said, I swear by Allah, saying that these are the words of Allah which were revealed to me. This is in his book Haqiqatul Wahi. People, he said, check this out. In his book Ruhani Khazain, Spiritual Treasures, he said that, and I swear by the Lord that he has placed my name as a Nabi, as a prophet, and he has called me the promised Messiah. In his son's book, Mirza Bashiruddin, he wrote, it is very clear and evident that after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the door of prophethood is still open. Haqiqatun Nabuwa. That was the book. He writes in his Mirza Hariram Qadiani writes in his book Ruhani Khazain. Afterwards, revelation kept coming to me as the rain, clearly addressing me as a prophet. These were his words. I'm not saying that. He's saying. In another one of his books, he wrote in Haqiqatul Wahi, I am Adam, I am Noah, I am David, I am Jesus, the son of Mary, and I am Muhammad. These were the words of Ghulam Sahib. Right. So this was in his Haqiqatul Wahi, page 521. 521. Right, okay. In his book, Kashti-e-Nuh, the Ark of Noah. Kashti-e-Nuh, right, this is what he used to call his new Sharia. He used to call his new laws that he's bought, Kashti-e-Nuh, the Ark of Noah. In this he writes, blessed is that person who recognized me. Yeah, of course you're gonna... Well, obviously you're going to be... Well, you have to recognize him, obviously, with that thought he's wearing on his head. Sorry. keep it academic. Keep it academic. Okay. So these are his words. Okay. I'm not making any of this up because some people might think I'm making this up. His followers send salatu was salam upon him. So for example, in the books of Al-Fazl al-Qadiani, you have the book of Darood was salam upon him. Yeah, Imam, that they call him the Imam of the creation. As-salatu was salamu alayka, stuff like this. They send that upon him. Okay. In one of his, now in his early years, he did write. So in his early books, like Kitabul Bariya, he writes, anyone who claims to be a prophet after the prophet is cursed. So sometimes Qadianis will show these early things and say, look, he didn't make these claims. But that's in his early years. That is true. He did used to say, I have no claim to prophethood. That is in his book. So in his early years, he did do a lot of this. In Ainai Kamalat, he writes, I am not a prophet, I am an addressee, so somebody who God speaks to. But later on, he does, this is part of his development. So in Kashti Nuh, in the Ark of Noah, he writes, page 47, the mystery is now cleared. He says, this is Christ who is awaited. And in the words of inspiration, it is I who is meant by Mary and Christ. It is about me. So, you know, when the Qadianis say Jesus is not going to come back, they weren't saying it like, you know, when I said, oh, Jesus, I don't believe Jesus is going to come, and other scholars, the great Mashayikh of Al-Azhar, and Muhammad Abdu, and Rashid Rida, and all these great Sheikh Shaltut, and Mustafa Maraghi, and all these people who didn't believe in the second coming of Jesus Christ, and Abul Kalam Azad, and people like Awaidullah Sindhi, and Ibn Ashur problematized it, and all these kind of things. All these people, Allama Iqbal, that's because they didn't believe in the messianic vision. We believe that Islam was completed with the Prophet. The reason Qadiani said that, and I understand that many Muslims do believe that Jesus is coming, but the reason why Qadiani said that Jesus Christ is not coming, because he was meant to be Jesus Christ. That's why there was no second Jesus. Now, somebody here is saying, Tasnif Akbar is saying, and I agree with Tasnif, I actually do feel that it wasn't about him lying. I feel that he had mental health issues. I actually do believe this. I'm not saying this as a kind of cuss. I actually feel that he kind of lost the plot, like mentally, internally. And he started to see these things. This is why I don't fault him as much as I fault people who, like, I think, do you really believe in that? That this is God's great solution to mankind, to have a chat with some guy in Punjabi. Oh, and by the way, God spoke to him in other languages as well. God spoke to him in English, and do you know what God said in English? God said, oh, sorry, wrong. Sorry, wrong serial kisser. Do you know when God spoke to him, what God said in English? Because he said God spoke to me in English as well. And in English, he said to me, I love you. I'm not making this up. Yeah, I'm not making this up. He actually said, God spoke to me in English, and he said, I love you. I love you, yeah. I love you. That was God's English to him. It really was that God said to him in English, I love you. Yeah, what is God doing? If he's going to intervene, this is not the time to intervene by just having gupshup in Punjabi and just saying I love you in English. There's got to be some other intervention. Right, so okay. Now, by the way, he came out with some verses of the Quran himself. He said about other verses, so he said that in his book, Tazkirah Majmu'a Ilhamat, page 281, he wrote that Surah Al-Kawthar, Inna A'taynak Al-Kawthar, was revealed to him. And the verse in Surah Inshirah about لَقَدْ وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, that we have raised your praise, was revealed about him. He said that the verse of the Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, we have not sent you except as a mercy for the worlds, was revealed about him. These are in his book, Tazkirah Majmu'a Ilhamat, page 281. Then he said there were new verses of the Quran that were revealed to him, like Ahlus Suffa wa ma adraka ma Ahlus Suffa. The people of Suffa, and what do you know about the people of Suffa? You will see their eyes are flowing with tears, and peace and blessings upon you, and so on. And these were new parts of the Quran that came to him. And in another verse, God said, and we have revealed it close to Qadian. That's a verse of the Quran. That, according to, it was a new verse of the Quran. That we have revealed it close to Qadian. Yeah. And in another thing, he said as well that, you know, the Masjid al-Aqsa was his mosque in Qadian. And he said on the night journey, the Prophet didn't go to, in the night, what I believe was, and many people believe was a vision, and other Muslims believe was physical, but either way, that where the Prophet went, they said he didn't go to Jerusalem, he went to Pakistan. He went, honestly, I'm not making this up. He says in his book that he went to Pakistan, to Qadian. I mean, it wasn't called Pakistan then, but it was Punjab, that the Prophet traveled to the Punjab in Qadian, and that's where he went to that mosque. And he declared his masjid to be as virtuous as Makkah. And he said that if you don't have money to do Hajj, you can come to his place, his kind of masjid. Now, later on in life, towards the end of his life, he declared himself to be Krishna. And he said that he saw this in a dream, and Indian Hindus prostrating to him and stuff like this. So this is not me, and I do actually believe this is a reflection of his mental health. Right, so I'm not kind of, see, like he said in Aina Kamalat, in page 564, he wrote, I saw in a dream that I am the Lord. I then firmly believed that it was so. In Kitab al-Bariya, page 85, he wrote, I saw in one vision that I am God, and I then firmly believed in it. Bloody, you know that hadith of, indeed, God is beautiful. It gives it a whole new... Okay, I need to behave. Okay, but it gives it a whole new meaning. But anyway, so you can see these are his own writings. So when people say he has not said, he has said these things. In his book Arba'in, page 7, he wrote, what is Sharia? I have given commandments of do's and don'ts, and have prescribed laws for my followers. He writes that my Sharia is named Kashti Nuh, the Ark of Noah. Okay, so this is, as you can see, right, so there are a lot of, and I will actually, what's interesting, I'll tell you about some of the prophecies he made that weren't fulfilled. I mean, obviously they weren't fulfilled, but that kind of came back and people had a go about them at him. So in his time, he made a prophecy that I will live to be 80 years old at least. but he died before that. But yeah, you can't. He tried. His prophecy is that he would marry Muhammadi Begum before his death. They could say, yaar, making prophecies about marriage to Muhammadi Begum. But unfortunately, he never got to marry her. That was another prophecy. He made there was a sheikh of his time called Allama or Maulana Sanaullah Amritsari, who's one of the great sheikhs of the Ahlul Hadith movement, who is also a kind of colleague and a part of the same group of Maulana Inayatullah Gujarati Saab, who later on split. They used to be in Delhi, who went on to teach and say that, for example, the thing about Jesus not coming, and it's his student who is Maulana Abdul Karim al-Athari, who has the tafsir Urwatul Wuthqa, which I often quote from in some of my lessons and stuff. Right, so Maulana or Sheikh Thanaullah Amritsari is one of his major opponents during his lifetime. So he challenged him and took him up to all these debates and everything. And they did a mubahala. So at one point, got to a point where they said, okay, may the curse of God, may the person who's lying die first and whatever. And so he was actually keen on that mubahala and making that oath, but then he unfortunately died. I mean, that's hardly the way to do it, is it? But he actually did the same thing with a Christian as well called Dr. Abdul Hakim, and he did a mubahala saying that the liar amongst us will die first. Not to hold these claims to weight, I mean, but I'm just saying, but then he died. It just sounds dumb, that's all. Right. He also made revelation that God has revealed to me that he will give me another son before I die. But and God said, no chance. God said, no chance, my friend, no chance. So he never got that. He died without that. His claim that Allah revealed to him that he would marry many more virtuous women. This was a claim made by him, but he didn't marry any more women after that either. He made a prophecy about him marrying a widow. I think he was trying, but this one, no. Then he made a prophecy that he will die in Mecca or Medina. No chance. Yeah, God, can there be no chance? Sorry, there's no chance. So all of these things, unfortunately, he died of cholera, and he got cholera. And in fact, in his earlier things, he said cholera was such a curse from God, but then he got it himself, and he actually died because, I mean, not to, obviously because of old age as well, but also because of indigestion and having toilet problems, and his colon and things like that got infected, and he couldn't go to the toilet, and so he just eventually died. Yeah, you're thinking I'm taking the mick. I'm not, yaar. I'm just stating the facts. I'm going with the facts, man. The facts. Okay, take the facts. Okay, just take them. Okay, so for example, Bashir, his son, writes in his biography, my mother informed me that the first attack of looseness, what do you think, like attack as in the British attack, as in the colonial? No, yaar, not the colonial attacks, of looseness of bowels. यहाँ से अटैक हो रहा है वहाँ नहीं यहाँ की फटी हुई है. It's like this हालत खराब. So he said, my mother informed me that the first attack of looseness of bowels upon the promised Messiah occurred when he was at his dining room table. Later I started pressing his legs and he lay in comfort. After a short while he again felt the call of nature and used the bathroom a couple of times. Then he goes on saying he became very weak and so on. Once again he had an urge, but he was too weak to go to the lavatory. I made arrangements for him close to his bed. These are all part of his son's in Ruhani Khaza'in, part of his son's biography of him. And I'm not making this up, people. I don't make this up, you know. Hari Ram, serial kisser. Meri ye majal. I have no I have no right to make anything up. So, and then you have his doctor, for example, his final, he writes as well that Huzur could not talk 2 hours before death. Dr. Mirza Yaqub Beg and Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Husal Shah were the attending physicians. Huzur asked for paper and wrote on it, I have too much dryness, I can't talk, and said some other words which could not be read. Chalo, at least I know, because obviously loose motion ho gaya, loose motion. So these were some of the things that obviously Hazrat over here, Hazrat Saab, yeah, people behave people, right? So that he had, and the thing is that in his right, in his final days, you can see his stomach, he had too many loose motions, as you can see there. Oh, blaming good looking fella there. Look at that, people. Right, so Hari Ram, smart Hari Ram serial kisser. You know, this is the. So anyway, so this is the story. So look, this is the background of, and I actually genuinely believe that he was, that Hari Ram Sahib Hazrat was actually mentally unstable. So I think it's really more surprising. So I don't find sometimes his things as surprising as I find that of his followers that so passionately follow him. I'm thinking, come on, seriously, you acting, you really believe that God used to say, I love you to behave? Can you imagine the angel that came to give the message, and then it got to him, and it's like, sure, this is, यार यही वाला है या वो यही वाला है यार, इनसे I love you बोलना है. Right, so the thing, so anyway, yeah, it's कोई बात नहीं यार, all is fair in love and war, in love and war, you know, love and war. Right, so anyway, so this is, so my message is that, look, these things are legitimate, that he actually said these claims. And you know, the early Qadianis were actually very extreme, that they were declaring the rest of Muslims kafir. So this is why then the rest of the Muslims reacted harshly against them. And I don't justify and I condemn any persecution of them. I condemn that. But I'm being honest, look, just playing the victim card all the time is just nonsense. Right? Like, you get, so for example, I said to somebody, because I took the mick out of, because they were cussing me, so I took the mick out of this. So somebody said to me, oh, you support killing Qadian, you support terrorism. I thought, what? Are you even listening to yourself? Like, can you stop being such a drama queen? That, look, yes, I am against, and I think most Muslims are against any persecution of anybody. But the truth is that by saying that, oh, saying things like this is not part of Islam, is not an act of that's just freedom of speech. They have the freedom of speech to criticize Islam and say these things, that God sent him and the Prophet came to Punjab and God said, I love you to him and all these kind of things. That's freedom of speech. And we have the freedom of speech to criticize that and say, well, that's just a joke. I mean, why would God be busy saying I love you to some guy in Punjabi and in English? I mean, you know, that just doesn't add up. So it doesn't mean that, oh, just because you're against, so some people would say, oh, but if you don't declare them Muslim, then that adds to the persecution. No, it doesn't. Because look, Christians are also persecuted, which wrongly persecuted sometimes in Muslim countries. It doesn't mean now you have to say every Christian is a Muslim. If you go on the Qadiani websites, I went on their websites, they very clearly themselves condemn homosexuals. They say homosexuals are sinners. That's what they say. Even though they say that, look, we're not against, they say that we're not homophobic, but they say homosexuals are sinners. I would say calling homosexuals sinners is then contributing to the persecution of homosexuals. So why don't you call homosexuals non-sinners and just, you know, call them blessed and call them like, so, you know, why is it you're only playing that game with us Muslims? And by the way, they troll other Muslims. This is what I was just shocked about. They were trolling me, for God's sake. They trolled me for days on end. I couldn't believe it. I was like shocked. Anyway, I was shocked with the... So that was my... So anyway, people, I think we've gone on quite a bit. I think the gym session is calling me. But I thought I'd introduce you to our guest today, Ghulam Hariram, smart Hariram, serial kisser, Qadiani Sahib. Right, so, you know, so look, obviously he had, I think, issues. So, you know, anybody who has mental health, may Allah make things easy for them. We obviously sympathize with these things. But if they don't have mental health, but they just have confidence, like our smart Hariram, serial kisser. What confidence, yaar? What confidence? That's the confidence I want in life. Honestly, that's the confidence.
So people, we're being brought, we're going to be kind of cast aside. We're going to have to vicariously fly many thousands of miles east for many of us. This, people, what you're seeing in front of you is a map of the beautiful Qadian. Okay, this is in Punjab. Oh, Sadda Punjab, oi. Oh, balle balle. Right, so this is, there it is. That's on the left-hand side. You can see Qadian. It's a bit zoomed out on the right-hand side. It falls on modern-day India side. It's in Amritsar, close to Amritsar. And as you can see, you know, Mirza Ghulam Ahmed Qadiani may have been a nice guy. He may have been a very decent human being. So people may have said nice things. I expect them to. People who know him and who like him may say very nice things about him. So this person brings, this is the same guy. Damn, I haven't brought his clip here, but he is the one who talked. And so we're going to talk about Mufti Abdullah. Right, so it's the same guy with the persistent block nose, right? So akal ke saath, along with the intellect, the nose is also blocked, right? So he says, well, look, Abul Kalam Azad from India is praising. You know, this guy, Mufti Abu Layth, is a deviant. Look at his Islam. Tattoos are halal. You know, this is halal. Wearing earrings is halal. You know, I'm sorry, I don't get the logic. Like, you know, you guys are prepared to believe that Prophet never really achieved anything, but you're not. And you don't find that absurd, but you find me saying, oh, tattoos are not haram so absurd. But anyway, what happened is, now that he made this video, whoever made this video, I started to get a lot of people started to, but it's coming from Ontario, Canada. And I thought, okay. And then they call again and again. And I thought, you know what, maybe, because I'm a proper shopaholic sometimes, and I've ordered loads of things, and I forget sometimes. I order things and I forget about them until they arrive. So I thought maybe there's, you know, like a shipping thing going on, a query. So they're trying to get in touch. Why would somebody call me so, like, several times from Canada otherwise? So I answer it, and it's some guy saying, Assalamu alaikum. Hello. Right, so now I get this call, and this person said there's no voice. Somebody said there's no voice. Is there no voice? Hello. This is picking up voice. Testing. It is picking up voice over here. Let me check the voice works. We can hear you. Okay, excellent. So if you can't hear me, give me a shout. So this person calls me and we have a chat, and, you know, I say to him that, look, I made it clear to this person. I said, look, I'm getting fed up with all these kind of videos. People are sending me the same video, and I'm saying it nicely as well. I'm saying, yaar, nicely. Bande ne puttar bani jao, bande ne puttar. You know, like, baaz aa jao yaar. You know, this kind of bullying and trolling, doesn't suit you, yaar. Tum log seedhe saade nerds. You sitting in a library somewhere, aram se, you know, like, yeah, you know. Right, so, you know, this doesn't suit you. Just chill out, relax. And so this guy, anyway, he's chatting. He's going, I said to him, look, can I ask you then a question? Do you believe in Qadiani to be a prophet? He goes, I don't like the word Qadiani. You know, Qadiani is derogatory. I said, why? Isn't this where you're... Right, we're talking about... Oh, yaar, ye galti se aa gaya, yaar. I don't mean to bring up the toilet, yaar. You naughty, naughty. You teasing me. Right, so I'm meant to be bringing up our... Oof! 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 कातिलाना नजर यार उफ 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 इतना सुंदर चेहरा हाय 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 नजरें हाय 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 थू 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 नजर ना नजरे बदूर. So this one is our when you look at Qadiani Saab and you think to yourself that wow, what a prophet that God chose. I honestly want to ask, right, that is this seriously, why are his eyes like that? Ye khuliye ke band hain yaar. Is his eyes closed or are they open? Honestly, yaar, I'm really bothered about this is a serious question, right? You guys, you see, the other thing is you guys ain't taking me seriously, but just look at those eyes. Are they closed? Are they open?
छब्बीस मई 1960 को लाहौर में मौसूफ का शिद्दत के साथ यह हैजा से ही मर गया। बाद वफात उसके मुंह से
उनका होता है
जो हाज़रीन के इबरत का बायस हुआ।
ये हो क्या रहा है यार? What the hell is that? On the toilet? Oh, this is not nice, yeah. So, as it happens, this person called me and he had a chat with me and he said, well, look, I really believe in... I asked him, do you really believe genuinely? I want to ask you, genuinely believe? I've got no problem. Look, I said, I'm not against, like, you're mixing me up. You guys are, you're picking on me. Yeah. So I'm telling you, look, okay, let me ask you some questions then. Do you really believe in Ghulam Mirza being the prophet of God? So this guy said, 150%. I said, Chava, yaar, yaqeen, yaar. Who wouldn't have that level of yaqeen after they've seen such a beautiful face? So I said, no, I never said that to him. I said, okay. I said, I want to ask you that. I said, seriously, have you studied Islam as well? Have you studied a bit of this as well, Islam and stuff? Or, have you not studied? Or he said, no, I've studied. I said, okay, that's interesting. Yara, it's getting more and more interesting here. I said, Qadiani Saab, I said, have you studied Quran or Sunnah? Or have you studied... just researched independently? He said, no. He said, I haven't. I said, have you studied Arabic? He said, look, I haven't studied Arabic, but I've done research and I'm, koi jahil banda nahi hu. I'm not like a jahil person, hum bhi apne, right? Those of you that don't know the Savior's, yaar wo kaha hai? Hamare Hazrat. Right, I've got a... Yeah, there's a... Oh, here he is. There's another... I honestly thought that was a ruler the first time I saw it. Wallah. I thought, ye kaun sa intelligence naap rahe hain? What kind of intelligence is he measuring from? So I said, look, let me be real, yeah? I just want to, I'm trying to be real here, that if you've studied, which you're saying you have studied, you've researched, can you tell me what is the reason that God sent, there must have been a reason that God sent another prophet. Would you not agree? And I was using the word prophet, like you believe this is your prophet, yeah? God sent a prophet. There must be a reason, yeah? So he said, yeah, of course there's a reason. I said, okay. I said, what's the reason? I'm interested. He said, well, look how many Ahmadis there are in the world today. I said, acha, team banane ka. Acha, team banani thi. You know, God's reason was, I want to make a little team. I said, then he could have sent a football team, or he could have sent anybody, you know, if he just wanted fans. Was there no message? Was there a message as well, or was there yani kuch aur bhi, ya just wanted a gang? God was like, yaar, ye gangs mein kuch kami pad rahi hai, yaar. Koi naya leader bhejte hain. You know, it's like so. So I was like, you know, there must have been a reason. So he goes, yeah, there is. I said, well, please do tell. So he said, well, I said, well, because am I wrong that Mirza Qadiani Saab, born and died during the British colonial rule, one of the darkest eras for general and especially Muslim civilizations? He goes, yeah. I go, well, he never brought that to an end. And you can't say he liberated the world. You can't even say he liberated a part of Qadian. Did Qadian become a liberated nation? We know that it didn't. I mean, till decades after his death. So, well, so what is the purpose of God sending him? Like, what did God achieve? I mean, come on, this is the last shot. God is sending the final. I said, look, if you're going to say that, look, God sent Jesus to redeem mankind's sins, die on the cross and redeem their sins. Chalo, theek hai, whether we accept it or not, but theek hai, you're saying God had an objective in your belief as a Christian. People say God sent Moses with this, that he wanted to save the Israelites from the Pharaonic kingdom and take them back to the promised land. Theek hai, that's an objective. God sent David to rule and establish the kingdom of God. Theek hai. God sent the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to kind of rid mankind of superstition, to teach them, to bridge between the personal and impersonal God and counter the narrative of shirk. Theek hai, okay. Why did God send Mirza Qadiani Sahab in Punjab? Okay, oh, balle balle. So, and you know, so he said, can I call a friend on my... I said, yeah, I was like, call a friend. Call a friend. Are you having a laugh? Think this is some kind of a chat show? Call a friend. I'm asking you a simple question. Is there a message to this? You know, you guys are trolling me, calling me now. And I'm asking a simple baby question. What's the message? Can I call a friend? Bandena puttar ban, can I call a friend? You know, it's like, lucky, you know, in front of me, you know, trolling me like this. Do you guys have any idea how much out of your depth you are? You know, I'm like, and then I even offered, I said, look, I'm offering to let you can call whoever this person is, not now, but I've got a show Mind Trap at some point. Right now I've got a few people lined up, but for a few weeks. But after that I'll have one of them as a guest. He goes, okay, we'll set that up. Now they go on to WhatsApp and this other person comes on. It's like, I think it's that. So, and this guy starts, you think you can insult our prophet and get away with it? I was like, Abeo Piddi. You know, look, I said, I'm asking you nicely. Tell your little minions to stop flooding my inbox with this video. Theek hai? Bahut dhanyawad. Right, leave it at that. I'm asking you nicely, I said. This guy goes, you think you can cuss, insult our prophet and get away with it? I was like, Puttar, I haven't even begun. Abjo. The colectomy. Now we're going to surgically remove a piece of the colon. Ab pata chalega. So this is those. I have got a video before about the beloved. This beloved Ghulam Mirza Qadian he's also known as this is him in another form. Blaming good for looking fella, Hariram Kumar, serial kisser. This I'm not just this is seriously I've shown this before. This one there it is. Yaar, sorry, ghalti ho gayi yaar, ghalti ho gayi. Insan khata mumkin. I was meant to put this picture. Hari Ram Kumar, serial kisser. Oh, blaming good looking fella. Oh, irresistible you. So from the message of our stud Mirza Stud Saab, Hari Ramji, was that God, he was also a very, speaking of studs, he was a very loving soul. Very not just loving soul, loving body. He was into his. He did like the occasional. So one of the people he kind of had a little eye for was his cousin Muhammadi Begum. Naughty. So he's like, love you. So she wasn't having it, Muhammadi Begum. So he said to her father or her wali, you better marry her off for me. Marry her off to me, sorry. So that guy said, look, I ain't interested. He goes, oh, it has come to me in revelation. Yaar, wahi aa gayi hai, wahi aa rahi hai. So revelation is coming to me. Revelation dictates that if you don't marry Muhammadi Begum to me, then within whoever you marry her to, within 1 to 2 years, her husband will die. And she will suffer a miserable fate. So that guy was like, oh, sorry, are you still talking? Needless to say, he obviously didn't take heed. He didn't marry her to Qadiani Saab. And nope, it looks like the angel that told that to Qadiani Saab got that wrong. Husband didn't die, lived on, they had children, lived a normal happy life. चलो यार, miscalculation हो जाता है यार. Don't be harsh now, this one not nice. Love का मामला है, law. So what happens is an angel came to him, to Qadiani Saab, an angel. I'm not to Hari Ram. Why am I saying Hari Ram? Because in his final years, he also said he had the vision that he was another incarnation of Ram and Vishnu. He was himself. So Hari Ram, serial kisser, lover, Mr. Lover Man. So he had another experience where the angel came to him. The angel came to him and said, I'm delivering a message from God. So, said, delivering a message from God? What is the message, O angel? The message is God said, I love you. What? Even the angel when delivering it, God, is it one over there? Is it that guy? Is it sure it's अब पंजाबी में ले किदा सरदार. So from here, but if it's God's message, it's God's message, people. You can't.
अंग्रेजी में कहते हैं कि I love you. गुजराती माँ बोले तने प्रेम करूँ छू. बंगाली में कहते हैं आमी তোমাকে ভালোবাসি.
ভালোবাসি.
पंजाबी में कहते हैं तेरी तो हाँ, तेरे बिन मर जाना मैं तेनू प्यार करना.
Oh, Punjabi, wah. So this was the, needless to say, Bichara Saab. You know, we can't, not quite like this, but the way you got that man on the toilet, a bit like that, but it's a sad, you know what, it's not, it's a serious matter, yaar. You know, this cholera and having this, Bichara's fate was on the toilet. You know, I suppose, you know, it's not quite, you know, when you say kick in the bucket, it's it's a bad thing, yaar. But it was his fate, obviously, of the beloved Messiah of God, Shri Hariram, serial kisser Qadiani Saab. So this was my heartfelt kind of tribute today in the Masala segment to our stud. You stud. Oof, those looks. Oof, if looks could kill, then this would outdo COVID. Ayo, COVID. You know, if COVID was a person, you corona. All right, people, you know what? I think we've really got, you know, that's enough. But I just, seriously, that was a genuine question, by the way. I couldn't get over the question about his... Aankhein khuli hain ke band hain, yaar? Can somebody tell me? Is it... Phir bhi. We only see... his eyes open or closed?
26 मई 1908 को लाहौर में मौसूफ का शिद्दत के साथ यह हैजा से ही मर गया. बाद वफात उसके मुंह से बहाना निकलते देखा गया, जो हाज़रीन के इबरत का बायस
हुआ. All right, people, that's enough. People, let's call it a wrap.
It says, are Qadianis Muslims and how can we give them da'wah? Well, the question just came right on time, because the previous question was talking about the deviant sects. This is a typical example. Qadianis definitely are not Muslims. Let's find out, why aren't they Muslims? Who is the founder of the Qadianism? The Mirza Ghulam Ahmed Qadian, who was born in India, grew up in the Punjab, and then he began his life in the 19th century, approximately the 1900, as a da'iyah, as a preacher. Then he was adopted by the military forces of the British occupation, where he formed his own group, and he started calling people onto a different belief that abandoned jihad and resistance against the occupation forces. Now we figure out the origin of this group. And gradually, in order to give himself the power of legislation, he initially claimed to be Al-Mahdi, whom Prophet Muhammad ﷺ predicted that he shall emerge by the end of time in order to revive the deen and lead Muslims, and yet he abandoned jihad. Secondly, he claimed to be the Messiah, Jesus the son of Mary, or he claimed that he was incarnated into him. They also believe in incarnation, that Ibrahim a.s. was reborn 2000 years after his death, and so on, things of this nature. So with regards to belief, their belief is absolutely corrupt. He managed to give a false interpretation of Quran. So he ended up having his own revelation or his own Quran. Furthermore, he claimed, since he believes in incarnation, that he is Prophet Muhammad or a prophet after Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he gave a false interpretation of Khatamun Nabiyyin, and he said that he, as a matter of fact, the seal of the prophethood. He is the last prophet who came after Muhammad, peace be upon him. So this is an entirely different religion. They were loyal to the British occupation, They order people to be obedient and compliant to them and so on. And accordingly, he has his own Quran, his own fabrication, and they believe the incarnation and so on. These guys, for us, are not Muslims. Al-Hajj al-Akbar for them is to perform Hajj to Qadian, not to Mecca. He also said amongst his false statements that God observes fasting and he prays and he sleeps, he takes rest, and he does things like human being, and he talks to him and so on. So there is no doubt that this sect is one of the deviant sects which Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said they are not Muslims, they don't belong to this ummah. As far as the second part of the question, which is how can we give them da'wah, like giving da'wah to non-Muslims, because they do not share anything with us in common. It's a different religion, it's a different faith. So we need to invite them first to at-Tawheed, to the oneness of Allah, to understand the word of Quran, basically the message of monotheism and belief, then the message of the prophets, what all the prophets have shared, then finally that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was most definitely the seal of the prophethood. Because any person does not believe in any of these components is not a believer. Yes, it is possible to give them da'wah, and I think I did share with you before a very interesting debate that I had with some of the leaders, which lasted for 8 hours. It's very funny because their statements make no sense. Simply, the audience, who were vast majority their followers, gave up on them afterward in the same meeting, because it's easy to refute their misconceptions and it's easy to present the truth to them, since they, their leaders, make them assume and believe that they are Muslims, while in reality they are not.
अंग्रेजी में कहते हैं कि I love you, गुजराती माँ बोले तने प्रेम करूँ छू छू छू, बंगाली में कहते हैं आमी तुम्हाके भालोबाशी,
भालोबाशी,
पंजाबी में कहते हैं अरिटो, तेरे बिन मर जाना, मैं तेनू प्यार करना।